Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to another Sims 4 speedbuilding video, or welcome to the channel if you are new here. So in today's video I'm going to be building in the world of Brindleton Bay, which is the world that we got from the expansion pack The Sims 4 Cats and Dogs. I'm going to be building a big generations family home. So earlier this week, it was either Wednesday or Thursday, I can't remember which day it was, but long story short, I was a little bit overwhelmed because I didn't know what to build this week. And I don't know if anyone else finds this, but sometimes there is so many different things that I want to build in this game, you know, whether it be a certain type of style that I want to build in or a certain idea that I've got from a community lot or whatever, that I get so overwhelmed and I end up just freezing, and then there is absolutely nothing in front of me in build mode. And that was happening to me this week. There were so many different things I wanted to build and I just couldn't decide on what I wanted to do. And so to battle that, I headed over to my Instagram. This really sounds like a plug from Instagram, doesn't it? I promise it's not, it's part of the story. But I headed over to my Instagram and I asked what world people think I should build in this week, just to kind of help me out, get a bit of a idea of what people want to see, because at the end of the day, you're going to be the people watching it, do you know what I mean? And so I asked a question, and the majority of people, I mean, there was different answers, like the odd one or two of different worlds, but the majority of people answered either Henfield-on-Bagley or the world of Brindleton Bay. And then that just kind of settled it for what I was going to build this week, because if you're not familiar with my channel, you might not know this, but if you're familiar with my channel, you're probably bored of me saying this, but I like to switch up the worlds that I build in every single week, and I try and rotate the worlds that I build in as well. Don't get me wrong, I don't have them on like a little wheel and I'm like, right, now it's time for Malcolm Rebbe to have a build or something, but I try and rotate the worlds that I build in, so I'm always building something different in a different style. And I'm more recently built in Henfield-on-Bagley. I built a English pub and cafe, and so I thought, well, it's time for a Brindleton Bay build. I am so happy with the way that this house turned out. Now, when I was building this, I wasn't looking at anything, and I'm just so proud of how it came together and, you know, the end result of it, because I really struggled to build in this world. I mean, I've said this before, but I live in England, which I feel like is not a massive surprise, but I live in England and the majority of the houses are duplicates of each other. It's like someone's copied and pasted a house down a road for like 10 miles. It's like copy and paste, copy and paste. There is no houses anywhere near me that look anything like this style. And so when it comes to building something, not looking at any reference pictures and trying to, you know, like pull something out your mind, I really struggle when it comes to this world. But I'm so happy and I'm so proud of the way it turned out, so I hope you guys like it as well. Also, I haven't mentioned it yet, but this house has 5 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. I decorated the rooms to be for a set of parents, and then there is a toddler's room, a child's room, a teenager-y kind of room, and then there is also, I say teenager-y, you'll see as we get into it, and then there is a room downstairs as well on the lower level of the house, which I was building as kind of like a guest room, but if you wanted to, it could be like a grandma and grandpa's room, or it could be maybe like a butler's quarter or something. But this house is going to be for my save file, and so like always, I have got a storyline in mind for the family that are going to be living here in my save. And then as we go further into the video and then I explain the other rooms that are in this house, it will make sense, because if you wanted to, you could probably have like 6-7 bedrooms. There is an office which you could turn into a bedroom. There is a garage. Currently it's a garage, you know, there's like a ping pong table in there, which I never use a ping pong table in normal suburban family homes, but then thinking about it, who really does have a ping pong table laying about in their front room? Not many people, so that's probably why I don't use it. But the garage has like a ping pong table and then some gym equipment, and then there is also a room upstairs which is part art studio, part kind of like treasure room, but I'll talk about that as I move on and talk about the family that's going to be living here. But for the minute, I just want to talk about what I'm doing right now. So as you can see, I'm just going around the side of the house and just adding in some windows, adding in some columns, adding a little bit of roof trim to separate the 2 wallpapers. You can see the wallpapers that I've used. The one on the bottom, I'm talking about on the right hand side by the way, the white one, that one on the bottom, I don't think, maybe I have, but I honestly can't remember a build where I've used that. And it is such a nice wallpaper, but do you know what really annoys me about them wallpapers? It's one where corners will appear at random placements within the wall. Normally it is in the corner, and the game tries to recognise what's a corner and what's not. But for some of the other corners that I use that wallpaper on, you see the little like stony bit on the side, like kind of like a trim. It doesn't appear, and honestly it really winds me up. I wish in the future when they give us them kind of wallpapers, they just give us either the stones to individually put on the edge of the wall, or they could just give us 2 versions where we could just place it anywhere within the wall. So like the stone trim could be a wallpaper itself. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. It honestly puts me off them wallpapers. I try and steer clear of them because the garage, you can see it is it's kind of like a rectangular square, bit of a weird square, but you know, maybe a bit of a square. And there is a corner on each end, and for some reason the game's like, no, sorry, you're not going to have some stones on that corner. We'll give you some stones in the front 2 corners though, and we're just going to make it look a little bit weird for you. And so what I did is I put columns on the edge going around the house, and then I like the look of columns as well, especially when I've got like a brown stone wallpaper or like a brown paneling, and then I get these get together white columns. It just looks so cartoony to me, and I love it. Also, if you're wondering, the majority of the other wallpapers that I've used in this build are base game, and then the others that aren't base game are Get Famous, and then there's one from Cats and Dogs. So you see the one that I've used above the garage, like that kind of like grey paneling, that's from Get Famous. It looks like it's from Cats and Dogs, and it's not. So basically with Cats and Dogs we've got 3 exterior wallpapers, and they're basically the same colour palette but just different styles of, it's not called siding, but you know, like the way that, are they meant to be like tiles? I don't know, but the way that things fall onto each other is different, like ways of how they look. That's really undescriptive, but hopefully follow along with me. But basically with the Get Famous expansion pack, we have a very similar wallpaper like the ones that we've got from Cats and Dogs, but it's just a different colour palette. So with Cats and Dogs it's like very beige and cream and light blues and whites, whereas the wallpaper that we've got from the Get Famous expansion pack is, you know, like dark blues, dark greens, and then the grey that I've used. And then apart from that, I used a Get Famous brick on, it sounds like I'm saying something else whenever I say the word brick, but you know that I'm not saying that word. But I used a Get Famous brick on the other side of the house where the little archway is, that grey brick, and then above that I used a Get Famous stone, and then I'm pretty sure that's it. And then also actually I used a Cats and Dogs paneling on the side of the house, the brown one, and the other ones I'm pretty sure all base game. But I'm only mentioning it because I've had some comments recently about what wallpapers I use, because I mean, I'm going to explain it, you've already seen me do it, but whenever I wallpaper, I normally cut to having a wall of loads of different wallpaper swatches, and I just find that so much easier, because rather than you have to sit there for like, I don't know, like 3 minutes whilst you watch me search through the menu trying to find what wallpapers go together, I find it so much easier. Just make a little wall outside and then put on all the different wallpapers that you want to put it together, you know, like how you want them to be. And then that way you can kind of see how the colours go together. Do they match? Do they just go well? And then that way as well, when you're going around and you're wallpapering, you have this little wall that you can kind of like drag along as you go around the exterior of the build. Honestly, it's so much easier. But I've had some comments recently about what wallpapers I've used, and I just thought I'd explain it here. But I mean, it's not the same for every single video, but I thought I might as well mention it. But anyway, moving on from that and actually talking a little bit more about what I'm doing right now. So as you can see, I'm just focusing on this little side archway area. I love doing side archways of houses. I just think it's the most sweetest and adorable thing, and especially when you add these flowers, which are from Jungle Adventure, but I used them in the white colour swatch, because I mean there is the red colour swatch, a purple one, and the white one. And although I did use these red like bushes, well actually they're trees, but I sized them down to make them look like bushes, I felt like the red just didn't go, you know, it was a completely different tone of red. And so I use these white ones, and I just feel like it looks so adorable, and it almost looks a little bit like fairy tale like. I love the way it came together. But on the bottom part you can see that I put these posts down. Now basically I wanted to use these columns, but as I was putting them on the edge of the foundation, the columns were kind of like, it looked like they could fall off, and they're meant to be a supporting structure part of the house. And so I thought, do you know what, we're going to have to put something underneath them. And so I found these posts which are in the live edit menu. I believe that ones that I've used are from base game, and I just sized them up and then popped them underneath the kind of like columns. And now instead of it being a post and a column, it kind of looks like one individual thing, if that makes sense. But anyway, moving on from that, I'm finally getting on and talking a little bit more about the Sims that are going to be living in this house, my save file. So if you own The Sims 4 Cats and Dogs, you already have this family in your game, and that is the Heckin family, which consists of 2 Sims and their dog Rosie. The Sims are Brent Heckin and Brant Heckin. That is really confusing, and hopefully I pronounced that right. I'm not gonna lie to you all, I've just spent the past maybe like 10 minutes, actually no, that's really under exaggerating it, probably the past 20 minutes on Google having the Brant pronunciation up, listening to it, trying to say it and over again so I get it right, and I still think I might have got it wrong, so apologies. I might refer to Brant as Brian, just for this voiceover, just because it's easier for me and it's easier to say as well, because saying Brent and Brand, it's really confusing. So just for this voiceover, not going to be in my save file, but just for this voiceover, Brant is going to be called Brian, alright? Just remember that, just in case you get confused. But Brent and Brian, from now on, live in the world of Brindleton Bay when you open up a brand new save file with their dog Rosie, who is a French bulldog. Now, some fun facts that I found out fairly recently. In the trailer, there is a cat and the French bulldog, and the cat is meant to be also in their household, but when it came to the final release of the game, the cat didn't make it into the household, which I think is so sad. And so for my save file, the cat is also added back in it. So I'm going to go through the trailer and try and make the cat so it looks the same, so it's the same cat in the trailer, if that makes any sense. But besides the point, and getting back to the Sims, so when I'm talking about the individual Sims, I think it'll be easier if I pop a picture of who I'm referring to on the screen, because the thing is, I might be saying Brent and Brian, whatever, and you might not know them by the names, you might know them by their face, you know, you might have seen them in the park before on a dog walk, you might have seen them in the restaurant. I say it like you're the Sim in the game, but you know what I mean, you might have seen them bopping about in some of the worlds before. So when I talk about the Sims individually, because it is a bit confusing, as a one-off, I'll pop a picture of the Sim, like of the townie, so you know who I'm referring to. But starting off with Bren, so Bren, when you go into a brand new save file, is in the artist career, and for my save, I've decided to make it the same. You know, I didn't feel like that needed to change. They've got some skills in painting. Weirdly enough, they don't have a trait in painting, whereas Brian does have the art lover trait. So I don't know if that was like a bit of an error or something, but I'm gonna make it so their traits, or one of their traits, will be interested in art, or maybe like a perfectionist or something. Honestly, there's not too much to Brent. I imagine that being an artist, they're going to be at home a lot. I imagine that they're going to be someone that, even though they're in the career, they're going to maybe do a lot of work from home opportunities quite often. I'm not even sure if that's something they can do in the artist career, because normally when my Sim's an artist, I'm not going to lie to you, I don't get them to have a job. I just get them to make paintings and then just sell it, because I can't be bothered with the 9 to 5 sometimes in my Sims careers. And so not quite sure if your Sims can work from home, but I imagine that if they can, that then this Sim is going to be working from home, because then it also go hand in hand with the next part of the story, which is Brent and Brian are now going to be parents in my save file. They've recently adopted their daughter, who is going to be a toddler, and they're currently foster parents as well. And so that's why when I was talking about the different kind of rooms, there's a toddler room for their daughter, and then there's another 2 bedrooms, one decorated, well, there's another 3 bedrooms actually, but another 2 bedrooms that I imagine that they would use for the fostering system. So there's one decorated to be for a child, and there's one that is kind of decorated more so for a teenager. But to be honest, it could just be a guest bedroom, but in there I try to do like a little bit of a nod to like the foster kind of idea that I had in my mind, because I put like some suitcases in there and tried to make it seem like somewhere where people could come and just feel really comfortable and feel at home. And yeah, that was just kind of like the storyline that I had for Brent. Now moving on and talking about Brian's storyline is a little bit more interesting, but basically, long story short, they're going to be an explorer and they're going to go into the jungle of Selva Dorada. Now you might be thinking, hang on, what's he on about? Because when you originally go into their game, their career is a personal trainer, explorer, a bit different. But if you actually look at this Sim's personality and their lifetime aspiration is to be a collector of things. And I really wanted to expand on that and just try and include different elements from different game packs and different expansion packs, and make Sims just feel a little bit more interesting, give them a bit more personality. And so with that, I thought, you know what? Brian really enjoys popping to the jungle and uncovering loads of clumps of dirt and send them to the museum, and maybe that's something that they really want to drive towards. That's something that they really want to do for their living. They want to be an archaeologist. So that is why upstairs there is a part art studio and then part treasure room, because it has the archaeology table in it, as well as like some shelving unit with loads of different treasures that they've uncovered. And honestly, I love this idea. It's a little bit out there for this family, but it's The Sims, you can do whatever you want. And I just thought, why not make them a little bit more interesting? I love these Sims as well. I don't know about anyone else, and I don't know what their kind of like the ins and outs of the Sims are, but they always seem to show up in my Sims worlds. That I always see them walking about. I always see them walking the dog. I mean, it's probably something programmed into them to show off, like the dog walking aspect of cats and dogs, but I always see them around town, and I just wanted to give them a little bit more depth to the story, and I really like this idea, and so hopefully you guys like it as well. But anyway, moving on, I'm finally getting back and talking about what I'm doing right now. So as you can see, I've already moved on into the inside of this house. I'm currently going around and doing the dining room. Also, I do want to mention that I'm going to talk a little bit more about The Sims and, you know, like the ideas that I've got for the storyline as I get further into the video. But I said this in my last video as well, I get too carried away sometimes talking about the storylines that I've got in my mind, and then I kind of talk over the furnishing, and, you know, I want to tell you where things are from, and I want to tell you my thought process and whatnot. So when we get on and get into the individual rooms and stuff, I'll expand on the storyline a little bit, but I want to talk about what I'm doing right now. But as you would have seen, and as I mentioned, I already did the dining room, I've done the lounge room, I've done the entrance hallway, and now I'm moving on and I've started doing the kitchen. I really struggled when it came to this kitchen. I'm not joking, I must have tried to furnish this kitchen, well, not even furnish, tried to put the counters down in this kitchen maybe like 10, 12 times, no exaggeration. I tried pretty much every single counter in the game. At one point I was going to use the Jungle Adventure counters in kind of like a grey swatch, and then I was going to use the other Dream Home Decorator counters, because the ones that I've used are from Dream Home Decorator, but we've got 2 counters with that game pack. I was going to use the other ones. I was then going to revert back to the traditional looking base game counters that I always use. Honestly, I was having a bit of a mare when it came to doing this kitchen, because I wanted it to feel modern. I didn't want it to be like a traditionally furnished house. I wanted it to feel quite, not like modern, but you know, like modern where, okay, it's like 2022. I've been to IKEA a few times. I picked up a few bits and bobs. It's not too modern, but I didn't want it to be like traditional. Hopefully that makes sense. But I wanted that to show as well in the kitchen, because I seem to do a lot of traditional looking kitchens because that's my favourite type of kitchen personally, and so I always seem to revert to that. But I wanted to do something different, and it was a bit difficult for me, but I do like the end result and the way it turned out. But it did take me a while, if I'm being honest with you. But now, as you can see, I've now moved on into the next room, which is the home office study. Did they need this room? No, there was space for it though, and so I thought, why not? I was going to make it into like a playroom, but as I was thinking about it, I realised that there's nowhere to really place down like a computer or a laptop in this house somewhere. And I say this all the time, computers and laptops in the game offer so much gameplay. I mean, to be honest, you literally do, it's like kind of like Inception, because you literally are playing a game, watching your sim play a game, if you get them to play a game. But they offer so many different things that your sims can do. You know, your sims can increase their skills, they can do their social game, they can, you know, read up on things, and it's just, you need a laptop or a computer in any house, and I didn't really know where else to put one because there wasn't really an appropriate place for them. So I was going to make this into a playroom, but I thought, you know what, I feel like the toddler probably wouldn't use it, and I feel like the children that they do foster probably wouldn't want to use it anyway. So I thought, you know what, we'll just get more gameplay out of it and make it into an office. But it goes without saying, if you want to change this room and make it into something else, 100% you could definitely do that. I mean, I say this all the time, change it however you want to. But in this room, I tried to do a little nod to Brian's career being an archaeologist. Even though archaeologists normally just, like, you know, uncover stuff, I imagine that they also do travel around the world a little bit. And so you can see I placed down this little corkboard above the desk, and it's got like a load of different postcards on it. Some of them look like they're from Egypt, we've got the ones that look like they're from Paris, and we've got some that like nods to Sims 3 worlds like Bridgeport. There's one that looks like it's from Brindleton Bay actually. It's one that's got a lighthouse, and I'm pretty sure it's a very similar looking lighthouse on the island of Brindleton Bay, if you know what I'm talking about, because there's like a museum and it's on a separate island and whatnot. But also on the desk as well, if you can see, I placed down a tiny little map as well. I was thinking that maybe Brian sits at the computer and plans out his next trips on like Sims version of Airbnb or something. I don't know, I really like that little office. I didn't really feel like there needed to be one when I originally placed it down, but I actually really like the way it turned out. But anyway, you can see that I've now moved on into the hallway situation. I don't know what it is, but I say I don't know what it is. I just seem to build big houses, but quite often my hallways end up being quite big, and so I need to find things consistently to fill hallways up with. And so a good go-to for any hallway is, you know, the odd mirror, some curtains, a chessboard, maybe a bookcase, and that's pretty much what I placed down into that little hallway section. There is no bookcase, but there's this shelving unit that we've got from Eco Lifestyle. I also placed that in the front like hallway entryway, and I don't know if anyone noticed, but when I was cluttering that up, I tried to get things from the Jungle Adventure debug menu and place it down onto the shelves again, as kind of like a little nod to the Sims, and you know, the Sims that are going to be living here. I just like doing the small little details because I feel like when you know the storyline, it's just kind of like a little, oh okay, nice kind of situation. But anyway, as you can see, I've now moved on into the next room, which is the utility room. All the laundry room, it's in here, it's just, you know, it's blank standard. It literally is what I just said it is. It's got the washing machine, it's got the tumble dryer. It ends up being at one of the 4 bathrooms, so it's only got the toilet and the sink in, but it's one of the downstairs ones. There's another one right by the front door. You don't see me furnish it because, like always, if ever I'm just doing a bathroom and it's not like part utility room, I only ever show the furnishing of one of the bathrooms. But there's a bathroom right by the front door, and that bathroom also has a shower bath combo, so your Sims can have a shower down there if they want to. And also, once like the dog's been for a walk, if they're really dirty, in my mind I like having a bathtub near the front door or like the back door, however the dog's gonna get in through the door, just so you don't have like a dirty dog walking around. Because sometimes when you take the dogs for a walk in the Sims 4, they can come back really dirty and a bit smelly, and you don't want that walking through your Sims house, especially if they've just got rid of all, you know, like the little dust bunnies from the Buster Dust kit. Which actually reminds me, I didn't put a hoover or a vacuum, whatever you want to call it, in this house. So if you wanted to, you could definitely add one in. I normally am quite good at placing them into laundry rooms, but it just kind of like escaped my mind. But yeah, anyway, as you can see, I just moved on into the garage. I've now moved on into the next room, which is the bedroom. But in the garage, as you would have seen, and as I've already mentioned, there is a ping pong table in there. There is a card table. Now I imagine both Brian and Brent, it's funny because I keep on calling him Brian, knowing his name is not Brian. Well, we both know that his name's not Brian, but it's just easier. Try saying Brant and Brent quickly together. Not ideal. You're gonna do you know what I mean? Like, it's just easier to say Brian, but you know that I'm talking about Brant. Either way, I imagine that both of them are quite sociable Sims, and so I imagine like on a Thursday or Friday night every single week, all their friends come round and bring in like different foods, like salted dips, and maybe like different food for them to munch on, and they play different like ping pong games and card games. And I just love the idea. I see them to be really sociable, mainly because my Sims always seem to be really good friends with them, because I always see them walking around in the world, and so my Sims just interact with them a lot. They become friends and whatnot. But I imagine that they host maybe like annual card game night or something every single week, and it like kind of takes place in their garage, and so that's why there's so many different fun activities in there. As well as, actually, I don't know if you noticed, but I placed down this item which kind of like holds different paintings. I imagine that they're previously paintings that Brent had painted and was kind of like storing them. Maybe they're going to do something with them eventually. Maybe, actually, I just had an idea, maybe their dream is to own an art gallery. That is technically something that you can do in The Sims 4 if you have The Sims 4 Get to Work, because you just get your Sims to paint a bunch of stuff, and then you just put them on a wall, put them for sale, and then, you know, your Sim has an art gallery. So maybe that's going to be their dream. I don't know, that was just something that I just thought of just then, but maybe that's a possibility. Maybe that's going to be... Actually, do you know what? I haven't played the Sims 4 retail system in a while. I might play with it quite soon because I miss it. I miss The Sims 2 Open for Business, absolute elite game. But anyway, moving on from that, as you can see, I've now moved on to the upstairs portion of this house, and I've started off by furnishing the bathroom. So in here, I went for, I think it's a base game bathtub, you know. I don't think I use that one quite often, but it's quite modern and it kind of fits in with the rest of the house. I also use these 2 sinks which are from Dream Home Decorator. There's quite a lot of Dream Home Decorator in this build, which I'm not one to normally go more towards that kind of like gamepad. That is more so because I normally build quite traditional interiors, I feel like, anyway, and so Dream Home Decorator is quite more, you know, like modern, so I don't really reach for that as much in the catalogue as maybe other packs. But anyway, in that room you would have seen there is 2 sinks kind of like merged together. They're from the Dream Home Decorator pack. There is also a shower, and then, you know, just everything else that you need. But now you can see I've now moved on into the art studio treasure archaeology room kind of thing. So in here I placed down, so by the way, I did it on purpose. I purposely didn't place down any like blinds or curtains over the window, because I wanted your Sims to be able to look out the window, and, you know, as they're uncovering these lumps of dirt or as they're painting, I want them to be inspired. And so I purposely didn't cover the windows up with anything, and then that way there's more lighting that comes into the room. You can't see right now because I'm just focusing on this little shelving unit, which, by the way, this is the first time I've used this shelving unit. It's from the Blooming Rooms kit, which actually reminds me, we got a new kit yesterday. I haven't even downloaded it. I feel like at this point that just kind of sums kits up. There was literally a new kit that came out. Couldn't tell you the complete name of it. I'm pretty sure it's Sims 4 Carnival kit, or Carnival Festival kit, something along the lines of that. But it just shows how oversaturated kits have become, that new kit day is not as exciting as new stuff pack day or new game pack day, which is really sad. and I'm really holding out for the game pack that's meant to be coming out soon. It's been rumoured, by the way, if you don't follow Sims community on Twitter, which 100% you should, but it's been rumoured that next week we're going to be getting a new game pack, which is wedding inspired. We know that it's wedding inspired from the Sims website. There was kind of like a hint towards like Ideal or something, so we know that it's going to be a wedding game pack. Actually, no, thinking about it, I'm really excited about this now, because weddings in The Sims 4 are so dull. Your Sims can get married within 2 seconds, just, just elope immediately. Bish, bash, bosh, done, and your Sims are married. I want like the big fancy weddings. I want your Sims to be able to have wedding planners, even though I don't know how that's going to happen, but I like the idea of it. I want your Sims to be able to go, like bridesmaid shopping and wedding dress shopping, and that, again, it's not really going to happen, but I've got the idea in my mind, and I'm excited to take my Sims bridesmaid shopping and stuff like that. Oh, I'm buzzing for that now. I can't wait for next week. But besides the point, anyway, you can see that I've now moved on into the next room, which is the toddler's room. So in here, it was a really weird layout. You can kind of see the way it's shaped. It's really strange. And so originally I was going to place the bed on one wall, and then I decided to move it because it just was really just off-putting to the room. It didn't really make much sense. Plus, the way that I've now placed it, I feel like your Sims can get around the room easier. But in the toddler room, we have the toddler bed. We have a little armchair next to the toddler bed, so the toddler can be read to of an evening. There is also some teddy bears. There is some sized up teddy bears and sized down ones, just kind of for toys, not necessarily for interactions for the toddler, just kind of like decoration. And there is also the doll's house. I tried to make like a little changing table. I'd use the cats and dogs dresser and then a base game little kind of like ottoman. Now normally whenever I do changing stations or changing tables in either baby rooms, which if you've been here for a while, I don't normally do baby rooms because babies in The Sims 4 are objects and pretty much are irrelevant. But whenever I do changing tables, I normally use the Parenthood chest of drawers and then the same base game ottoman that I've used. But I thought, you know what, I always use that. Let's just make it a little bit different. So I used the cats and dogs one, and I actually really liked it because on either side, there was kind of like space for your Sims to put some nappies or diapers. It feels weird calling them diapers, but I've referred to a diaper before as purely just a nappy in a voiceover, and someone was really confused in the comments. Nappy, diaper, same thing. The thing that you put on a baby when they, for the toilets, put it that way. But I put some of them on the chest of drawers, and the one that I used from cats and dogs, where there was enough space, it looked a little bit more realistic. And then I also put kind of like a little basket of what I imagined to be different creams and like oils and baby changing stuff, I don't know, baby wipes and stuff like that. But anyway, as you can see, I just quickly did the child's room. So the child's room, again, quite a weird shape, is directly next to it, and the toddler room and the child's room share a bathroom. So there is a bathroom at the end of the house, and the only way you can get through to it is going through either one of the bedrooms. I think it's called, don't quote me on this, but I think that is called a Jack and Jill. My mum told me that when I was really young, and I don't know if that's the right terminology or whatnot, but I think that's called a Jack and Jill bathroom, where there's like a bedroom either side of it or something. But anyway, as you can see, I've now moved on into the next room, which could be like a teenager's room for, like a foster child. So in here you can see I've placed some suitcases right by the window. I recently got asked in a separate video, like a separate comment section, where them suitcases are from. They're from Parenthood, and they're supposedly meant to be a bedside table because, teenagers are meant to be like all quirky and stuff and whatnot. But I place them down sometimes to use them as, literal suitcases to make it look like your Sims packing to go somewhere, or your Sims gone on holiday and they're the suitcases that are in the hotel. I say this, I've never built a hotel, but I've built rentals before in the past, and I'm pretty sure I've done it in them kind of situations. But moving on into the next bedroom in this house, this is actually the last bedroom in the house, but you're going to see me just furnish the hallways in just a second. So this is the room for Bren and Brian. I feel like I need to remind everyone at the end of this voiceover, his name's not actually Brian. Like, his name is Bran, I think. I say that. I don't really have much confidence in that one, but his name is not Brian, and after this voiceover you can name him Brian if you want to, but he will be referred to in my save file as his original name. It's just saying both of their names together, it's just a bit of a tongue twister. But as you would have seen in their bedroom, I decided to use the industrial loft kit. I was about to say sofa bed then, but that's not a sofa bed by any means. The industrial loft kit for like 4-poster bed. I love this bed, but it was so difficult to put it in some of the other builds that I've done, and it kind of matched the colour scheme with the woods that I use in this house, and I just felt like, do you know what? why not use it? It's a one-off. I say it's a one-off, but it's just like a nice thing to use when you haven't used it that much. And so it was refreshing to use that bed, and so I used it in that bedroom, and then I paired it with some, I think the chest of drawers is from Get Famous. It's kind of like a light similar wood, and then I think the bedside tables are from Dream Home Decorator. But now, as you can see, I've gone out back into the hallway and I'm just furnishing it. I'm currently doing a little bookcase. Now when I came around to playtesting it, both this bookcase and the bookcase which is downstairs in the lounge room, my sim couldn't pull a book out. I think it's just because I overly cluttered them, but to be honest, I'm not too bothered. If you want to have it so they're usable bookcases, you can definitely just delete some of the clutter that's on them and then they're going to be usable. But I just purely placed them for decoration more so than for a bookcase, so I just wanted to mention that. Apart from that, everything else in this house has been play tested, and that is pretty much it. So anyway guys, I'm going to end this voiceover right here. So as always, you can download this build via the gallery. My original ID is JessicapieYT, or you can just search for the hashtag JessicapieYT or just the hashtag Jessicapie. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, if you do like my content, then please do subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next Sims 4 speedbuilding video. Bye guys.